Hello.
Hello,
My name is Julie.
I'm Chandler.
So tell me a little about yourself, Chandler.
Well, currently I'm a junior at UAH. I'm studying marketing. I work at a family landscaping company. It's not too rough. It's a pretty easy job. It's pretty good. I would really love to get into Nissan though, so that's why I'm so interested in this job.
What is it about marketing that intrigued you?
I love the creativity of it. So you don't have necessarily a set job, and I don't come in every day looking to do the same thing. I come in and look to create a promotional deal or look to promote a new car. So I always love being able to put my own spin on things.
Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
I hope to see myself here at Nissan, financially stable with a family. I would love to grow into this business and start out here and go to the top.
What are some of your best features, your best qualifications?
I would say right now, mostly my creativity. I'm always looking to take something and expand on it. I love social media, so I've grown to grow my own social media pages and promote things. And here at my own job, I have learned very good communication and people skills. So getting to work with the public on a daily basis has provided me some skills to create relationships with people outside of the business.
What interested you most about this position?
Really, again, my creativity. It allows me to put myself into a job where I can put my own ideas and things into place. So I can not come in and do something where someone's giving me a task and I have to complete it. It's come in and create something rather than coming in and working on a specific job.
How would your family or friends describe you as a person?
I think they would describe me as a very outgoing and fun person. I'm not typically the kind of person to be very quiet and held back. I'm always usually outgoing and looking to do something, or out there and being loud and always having fun.
What do you think is one of your weakest attributes?
I think that would be that I'm a perfectionist. I'm always looking to make something the best it possibly can be. And because of this, sometimes it puts me a little behind because I like to take a little bit of extra time to make sure something is just right. So I'm always wanting to perfect something before I even give it a chance to look at it.
Do you prefer working alone or in a group?
Typically I like to work alone, but there are some instances where it's good to work in a group. But I love to work on my own because this gives me the opportunity to not only, I get to depend on myself and I know that I can get the job done. The thing with group work, I think, is that sometimes someone in the group may not pull their own weight, or you have to pick up slack for another person. So I usually like to work on my own simply for the fact of being able to control the situation better.
Well, with that being said, if you were working in a group, do you consider yourself a leader or a follower? So would you lead someone within the group, or would you follow what the group's doing?
I would consider myself to be more of a leader. Typically in a group, if someone decides they don't want to pull their own weight or do their part of it, I usually take it upon myself to take over that part and to control the situation and decide whether or not we need to make that person do their own part, or if I should take it over myself and do it to make sure that it's done right.
So say you take over that person's part in the group, and at the end of when the project is completed, who gets credit for that part? Does the credit matter to you?
Credit doesn't necessarily matter to me. I like to please most people, so that can be a good thing and a bad thing. It's in this kind of situation, I would more than likely say that person did their own part. I would try to make it seem as if they did try and worked a little bit, just depending on the situation. If the person genuinely did not care, did not try, I believe I would take over most of the credit. But in a situation where the person didn't pull their own weight simply due to maybe an illness or something outside of work that caused them not to be able to do their part, I would think it would be wrong to take credit for something simply because they physically weren't able to do the part of their project.
Did somebody recommend you for this job?
I did. They didn't. I was looking online at Indeed and LinkedIn under specific job titles, and this one really caught my eye that I was really interested in.
What makes you any different from someone else interviewing for this job?
I think what makes me different is my motivation. My passion for this company, Nissan, has been something that's driven me for a long time. Cars have always been a passion and a true hobby of mine that have held my interest from a young age. So since I was young, I've paid attention to many cars and different brands, and Nissan has always been one that's generally held my attention and that I've always been interested in.
Are you willing to relocate and travel for this company?
I am. I would love to travel. Getting to see new places while also being able to work for a company that I'm very passionate about would be a great thing for me, I believe.
When is the earliest you would be able to start work?
I could start work as soon as I was needed.
How do you resolve problems?
Resolving problems is something that I've always been, I feel very good at. I work very well under pressure, so typically when a problem comes around, you usually are under quite a bit of pressure, so you just kind of have to take things one by one rather than looking at the whole situation as a whole. With a large problem, you want to kind of look at the small bits and break it up into something and complete it in tasks rather than a whole problem. You just kind of want to take one bit and then take on the next and then take on the next until you complete the whole problem.
If a customer was upset, or another corporation, or however it should be, how would you provide customer service? What would you do to resolve that issue?
Well, depending on the situation, that would be
Say it was with a marketing ad.
marketing ad. Well, typically with marketing ads, it's almost a given that someone's going to be upset. You can't always please every race, I'm saying religion. Most times it's going to be really hard to market to every single person on the planet. So typically you need to market to, say if you're selling a sports car, you want to market that product to your younger people looking to go fast, people that are always kind of on the go that enjoy the adrenaline. So if a person comes to you with a problem over a marketing ad, it'd be best to look at their side of it and ask how you can provide a better ad that would help them and where their stands are. So if it's coming from a religion aspect where it offended that religion or did something that was against that religion, it would be best to not necessarily take down the ad, but to ask them how you can create a better ad. Get their input rather than going against them and saying, well, this is the right way, this is how we do it. It's best to get their opinion and maybe shape your next ad towards that would better fit with their lifestyle.
What do you like to do in your spare time?
I love to work on cars. Usually most weekends I'm looking for a car show or I'm messing with my own car. Or that's my favorite thing to do when I'm not at work, is to my own personal car. I've done a lot of work with it and it's something I'm very proud of. And going to car shows and meets and stuff like that is something that I've always had a big interest in.
Okay, knowing, and I mean, you have no marketing experience whatsoever. What do you feel makes you qualified for this job?
I think the best thing about that is that I don't have the experience in a way. Being that I don't have the experience, it allows Nissan as a company to shape me in the way that they best see fit or the way that they need an applicant. Right now I'm kind of like a blank canvas and it allows me to paint me as you would want me to work. So if you want me to be more tailored toward the sports car aspect of this company, it would be best to put me in that kind of situation where it allows me to put myself and creativity into the sports car industry. So the best thing about me not having experience is that I don't have experience. It allows you to make me how you want.
What are some of your biggest values in a workplace?
I would probably say the respect to one another. Most of the time in a business, there's always going to be your boss. Your boss is more than likely going to have his boss, and having respect between those levels is always the best thing. If my boss was to come down to me simply because he is my boss and that it makes me feel small. So communicating with each other on the same level is always a plus in the workplace.
Are you available to work holidays?
I am. I can work most holidays. Most holidays. I would love to say that all holidays, but I think in some instances it is good to have some holidays off, because this gives not only the business a break, but it also gives your employees a break to refresh and to come back ready to work.
What makes Nissan stand out among other car companies?
I love how Nissan has a car for everyone. So if you are looking to have just a small commuter car to get you back from where you need to go, the Nissan Versa or the Nissan Altima is a great car for that. If you are looking to get the job done outdoors, off-road, a Nissan Titan is the best car to go with. Or if you're someone like me that's looking to go fast, looking to have that adrenaline rush every time you drive, a Nissan GTR would be the best thing, or even a Nissan 370Z. I love how Nissan can tailor to nearly any customer with their lineup.
How do you work under pressure?
I work
with deadlines.
I work very well under pressure. Most of the time, I am a last-minute person. I always have my work done, but it tends to be when I'm under pressure that I get the best work done. I'm not usually a person to plan ahead the very best, but I know that under pressure I can always get this job done.
Do you see yourself at this company in 5 years?
I do. I would love to be in Nissan within the next 5 years. And I would love to start here and grow with Nissan over the next 5 years.
How would you describe your work style?
My work style would be a very easygoing, and I would say easygoing would probably be the best way to describe it. I'm not typically a person to come in and say there's all work, no play. You need that break in your time in working to allow yourself to take a break, refresh, and then come back. When you come into a workplace, I believe, with the intentions of working from the time you get there to the time you leave, it doesn't allow yourself to take that moment to step back, even if it's just 30 minutes on your lunch break. It's a good thing to be able to take a break and breathe for a second, then come back. So easygoing is probably the best way, is because if you're all business, there's not really time for any kind of mistake.
What kind of salary are you expecting from this position?
I would say what I'm expecting is a salary that would make me be financially stable and comfortable. So I don't want to give out a number to make it seem like this is what I need and this is what I have to have, but a salary or a pay that would allow me to live comfortably while working in this business is what I would be interested in.
How do you feel that your coworkers would describe you?
I feel like my coworkers would describe me about as the same as my friends and family would, as a very easy, outgoing, fun person, because your coworkers will also be your friends in a workplace. You can't come into work with only expecting the people you work with to come in and look at you as someone that's not a friend or something. You want to have that relationship with your coworkers because you're going to spend every day with them, working alongside with them. So you want them to have that personal relationship with you. So being outgoing and fun is another way that I feel like my coworkers would also describe me.
Can you think of a particular time in the past where you may have went above and beyond the expectations set for you at work or maybe at school? Like something you did that you weren't expected to do, something that you weren't paid to do maybe?
I don't think I would consider this one where it was just outgoing and something that was completely unexpected, although it really was, is when I was in high school, I played basketball very early on. And up until my junior year, I had not done many sports and other activities, so I decided to join the soccer team. Well, this was the first time I had ever touched a soccer ball, ever. And I was the first one in my family to have ever played soccer. And then I took this as a goal, and every week we had practice, and I was training, and I would have a soccer ball at home, and I would be kicking it around the house. And so this was something I really applied myself to. And before the year was over, as a junior, I had started out a few games on the varsity team, and then by my senior year, I was a varsity player. So it was something that was not necessarily expected because no one in my family had done it. Not just my close family, but my whole family. And it was something that I never expected myself to do. And with my high school career almost over, I decided to do it, and I really pushed myself. And by the end of my senior year, last year in high school, I was on the best team you could be on.
Do you feel that you could use that same philosophy in this company?
Yes, I do. Starting out in something that you have never done, being that I don't have experience, it allows you to learn all the aspects of the job. So starting out may be rough at first. It may take me a little while to adjust, but once you learn how things work and where things go, it allows you to then not only do what you're supposed to, but also grow and put more on it. Put yourself more into your work as you grow.
What do you know about our company?
I know quite a bit about Nissan. I know that Nissan started out, and it wasn't Nissan, it was Datsun. And back then, Datsun started out in Japan, so there was many cars that were never even seen in the States, and there's still cars today that are not seen in the States that Nissan carries overseas. Datsun is also a brand that I was always very familiar with and that I'm very interested in. I loved the old Datsun trucks and Datsun cars, and then later going to Nissan as a better brand, then also how Nissan is spun off, and they're also Infiniti. And Infiniti being the more luxurious brand, you could say, is very intriguing to me. I love the different aspects that Nissan carries and all the many different cars that Nissan carries.
Describe a time you received criticism at a job. How did you handle it?
I would say one time that I received criticism at my job is that there's certain things that I need to do on a daily basis, and this was a day where I had put those tasks off till the end of the day, and I had a coworker get upset with me because he felt as if I wasn't doing my part at the work. So I decided to stay after hours that one day. I stayed for maybe an hour after to make sure that I had finished my task, so that the next day that we came in, everything was ready for the next day. I made sure that I was, even if it was overtime, I wanted to make sure that I had my part done, ready for the next
Overtime
day.
that you didn't get paid for?
Yes, I didn't get paid for it.
What about an important goal that was maybe more difficult to achieve than you originally thought? Did you give up on that goal?
I don't think
Or
it's.
did you persevere?
I can't think of a specific instance where I set a goal that I wasn't able to achieve. Possibly, trying to think of a situation. I'm not sure off the top of my head. I know that when you set yourself a goal, it's never good to give up on that goal. It's always good to persevere and to push to that goal. In most situations, that when a goal is seen as unattainable, it's because of more than likely it's because of a personal thing that's inside of you that's telling you to stop. Most of the time, you really just have to push through that one part and tell yourself that it's not unattainable and that you can achieve it. And in nearly every situation, you can do so.
Who are our competitors? Who do you think is Nissan's biggest?
I think Nissan's biggest competitor would be either Ford or Honda. In these situations, most times with the Honda Civic and then the Ford Taurus and the Ford Escape, most of the time these cars are going to be in the same competition as Nissan, simply because you're competing for the small commuter car business. This is most of the time, this is where most companies sell the most cars, is the cars that are not necessarily for your adrenaline junkies, but your people that just simply need a car to get where they need to go. And so Honda, with their Civic, is competing with possibly the Nissan Altima because of the same price range and the same features. So I believe Honda would be our biggest competitor here at Nissan.
So if you were to get hired for this job, do you see yourself still here in 10, 15 years? Is this a lifelong career move for you?
I see this job here at Nissan as a career option. I hope to gain this position, and then over the course of possibly 10 to 15 years, I would love to not only be in this position, but also with the opportunity to grow and continue on. So in 15 years, I would love to see myself here at Nissan, but in a higher position than I'm starting in now.
Okay, well, I think that's all the questions we have for you today, Mr. Gene. Thank you, and we'll be in contact.
Thank you so much.